The emperor of a city in China has been longing for a daughter, after having 15 sons over the course of 15 years. His wife goes into labor and gives birth to the long-awaited princess. Everyone in the palace is over the moon until the head nurse passes out. It turns out the new princess has a disgustingly pungent body odor that can make people unconscious. The king is informed about a fainting epidemic where 15 nannies, 5 nurses, and 2 guards have passed out because they could smell the newborn. The head doctor of the palace reveals that the princess suffers from severe atypical reeking syndrome causing excessive emission of body odor. Unfortunately, a cure to this problem hasn't been developed yet, but the doctor is confident he will cure the princess in a few days. Until then, they have to wear masks to take care of her. A week goes by but with no progress in finding the cure. Sometimes, her smell passes through the mask and makes everyone nauseous. For the welfare of the entire palace, the king orders the princess to be taken to the riverside residence, away from everyone. Time passes, and the princess grows up to become a beautiful young girl, but her body odor remains the same. She has tried different kinds of baths, medicines, and soaps, but nothing helped. At this point in her life, she has accepted her fate as the stinking queen, but is worried that she will remain unmarried because of the disease. Her parents are equally worried for her and are constantly looking for a suitable man who will accept her despite her smell. One day, they arrange a matchmaking ceremony where a bunch of men will be invited for the princess to choose among. The maids bathe her in flowers and fragrance even though they do nothing to help with the odor. To suppress the smell, she is made to wear clothes that cover her entire body. But when in front of the candidates, the princess sneezes, making everyone able to smell her. Some men vomit, others faint, and the surviving ones run away by jumping into the pond. When the king stops a guy, he stabs himself because he would rather die than have a smelly wife. The event shakes the princess's confidence and she starts hating herself as much as others hate her smell. After that, we are introduced to a florist named Kai. He is best known for creating fragrant flowery perfumes for the ladies of the town. Kai's biggest wish in life is to be the ambassador of aromatherapy and cure diseases using his skills. One afternoon, he sees a poster issued by the palace saying that anyone who cures the princess's disease will get to marry her and become the royal consort. Kai doesn't really care about marrying the princess, but he is eager to prove that aromatherapy works and he believes that his flowers can cure her. We see that he has a plethora of flowers growing at his house, including a special one called stinky weed, which smells really bad. Even though most people would find the plant repulsive, Kai loves it as much as the rest. Then comes the day of the competition where 6 selected candidates have to make 3 smelly objects odor-free. They get to work immediately, some using magic, others using chemicals, while Kai uses his homemade fragrance. After a rough battle, only Kai and a young doctor named Ye are able to complete the task. They are given 3 months to create a formula or a technique that will cure the princess. If Kai is successful, the palace doctor will be humiliated, so he wants his junior Ye to win. He tries his best to discredit Kai's abilities because he was born in a lower-class family. However, the king allows him to participate, disregarding the royal doctor's suggestion. For the next few days, Kai works hard to create the most fragrant soap he has ever made. To look for subjects he can test it on, he goes to the fish market. To his surprise, a woman falls on him while trying to lift a heavy fish. She is none other than the princess, who has disguised herself as a fisherwoman named Hung. She blames her smell on the fish so people won't think she is weird. Upon finding out that he is here looking for smelly people, the princess convinces her fisherman friends to help him. They come to his house where they are made to shower for about an hour using the soap on every corner of their bodies. Kai smells them afterward and passes out because the soap didn't work at all. After the fishermen leave, Hung offers to be his test subject for free. An excited Kai performs steam therapy, green water therapy, mummy wrap bath, and other techniques on her, but nothing works to cure the gut-wrenching smell of her body. Meanwhile, Kai's competitor Ye is working with the royal doctor. He wants to make sure that Kai doesn't win because it will ruin the reputation of the entire Royal Medical Association. They are willing to go to any lengths to prevent Kai from finding the cure. The next day, Kai and Hung continue the experiments. Kai notices that the smell of his stinky weed powder has vanished for some reason. He dismisses it as a mistake and continues working on other powders. When it is time for Hung to leave, it starts to rain heavily. She stays with him for the night and Kai is shocked to see that Hung sleeps with her smelly clothes and shoes on. In reality, the clothes confide her smell to some extent, which is why she never takes them off. The following morning, they go to the forest to pick up some wildflowers. It starts raining again and they have to take shelter under Kai's jacket. Being this close to Hung, he can smell the awful scent on her and expresses his disgust. She had started to like him more than a friend, hence the comment breaks her heart. A confused Kai watches as she runs away in anger. Sometime later, Kai returns home to see all his flowers have been destroyed except the stinky weed. Seeking comfort, he goes to meet Hung and finds her dancing alone. Still angry, she hits him with stones, refusing to believe that his house was trashed. Kai drinks for the rest of the night and falls down in the middle of the street. This is when he sees women sweating and comes up with an idea. He wants to create medicine from women's sweat since it might suppress the odor with its own smell. That way, one can just take a shower and remove the sweat medicine and their body would be odorless. Kai asks for help from the fishermen and they agree after Hung convinces them. For the next hour, they make a group of women dance continuously and collect their sweat. Then, Kai works the entire night and creates the magical potion. But just when it is ready, a masked burglar attacks him and breaks the vial. Kai chases the man and ends up in Ye's house. The doctor claims that he never went out of the house and since Kai doesn't have any proof, he can do nothing. There is an entire group of scientists working with Ye which shakes Kai's spirit, especially now that his work is ruined. In the following scene, he is alone in his home when Hung arrives with a bucket full of sweat so he can continue the experiment. The gesture touches Kai's heart and he asks her to stay the night. Hung sings him a beautiful song that calms his nerves and helps him focus. A few days later, Kai completes the formula and sprays it on the fisherman to see if it works. He wants to test it on Hung as well, but she pretends to be allergic to sweat so her true identity isn't revealed. The potion works perfectly on men and makes them smell better. Even though it is not a permanent solution, Kai is happy to have made progress. Still, they have to use it on a woman to see if it'll work on the princess too. At night, the group goes into the palace to meet the only smelly woman in the town other than the princess. She is the royal doctor's wife known for her smelly farts. The group hides outside the toilet and uses the formula on her, only to discover the solution doesn't work on women. For the next few days, Kai works day and night, disregarding his health. Hung finds him bleeding out his nose because he is sniffing too many times. She forces him to take a rest for the night even though Kai is not a fan of the idea. The next morning, he goes to the woods and comes across an old couple burying flowers in the ground. They reveal that they like to give dead flowers a proper burial. The couple turns out to be botanists with vast knowledge about different kinds of vegetation. When asked what are the most fragrant flowers of all time, they name 4 flowers that grow in 4 different seasons. The couple leaves shortly after, but this gives Kai a brilliant idea that will definitely work as a cure. He tells Hung that he has to travel around China to collect 4 seasonal flowers. She offers to join him and the two set off for a month-long journey to places with different climatic conditions. They bond while traveling and return home after a successful trip. By now, they only have a week before the 3-month experiment period ends. Kai gets sick, so Hung uses his diary to make the formula for him. Since Kai's nose is stuffy, he cannot smell her and they end up sharing a bed at night. Eventually, the judgment day comes and Hung allows him to cure the princess and marry her. Kai doesn't feel comfortable leaving her behind, but he has to prove that the aromatherapy works. In the following scene, the competitors are in front of the king and the princess is behind a tent. Ye goes first and uses several pressure points to try to make her odorless. However, it disrupts her sense of smell and only she cannot smell her odor. He promises to perform the same procedure on every citizen so they won't smell her scent and she can be free. The king remains unimpressed and asks Kai to continue. The royal doctor tries to intervene, but Kai proves that he has no sense of smell at all, which is why he is incompetent to make a judgment. The king kicks the doctor out of the palace for lying to him and pretending to be working on a cure. Following that, the princess is made to eat the tablet, which actually cures her disease and makes her smell great. Everything goes well until she comes out of the tent, revealing that the medicine only worked for some time. The king is about to execute Kai but stops upon hearing the princess crying. When her tear drops to the ground, Kai gets an epiphany. He begs the king to give him one more day so he can add something to the medicine. Kai is granted 24 hours, hence, he goes to meet Hung immediately. He recalls the time that the powdered stinky weed lost its scent because her tears had landed on it the previous day. He thinks if her tears are added to the medicine it will surely work. To make Hung cry, Kai tells her that he knows the smell isn't coming from her clothes but from her body. Hung reveals that she never had friends when she was little, and even her family disgraces her, all because of the stupid disease. One day, she jumped into the river to commit the unthinkable and was saved by the fisherman. After coming to life, she finally discovered that she is not a diseased outsider when she is in the fish market, which is why she started living with them. By the time she gets done telling the story, she has collected enough tears. Kai thanks her for her help but feels bad about everything she has been through. The next day, he goes to the palace to submit the final product but sees the doctor and his wife together. The doctor has no sense of smell, but he doesn't want to be cured because then, he wouldn't be able to live with his wife with smelly farts. The love between them makes Kai realize that he needs Hung in his life. Hence, he runs to the market where she is attending the flower festival. He gives her the medicine and promises to love her forever even if it doesn't work. She flies into his arms and takes the medicine. Still, Kai goes to the palace to apologize to the king for not completing the task. He asks to apologize to the princess too and goes to her quarter. To his surprise, he finds an odorless Hung and discovers she is the princess. She finally has a loving husband and a nice smelling body. In the last scene, the two get married as the entire city celebrates.